Hey guys, happy Friday. Here we are. It's Fitness Friday again. I'm going to hop over to Instagram and hit this button. I'm still trying to figure out my dual platform lives. So I'm here today because we're going to talk some sciencey stuff, and I'm going to try to really break it down for you so that you can understand it and have a better way to mitigate and learn how to eat, right? So that we can stay healthy and strong and reach our goals. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this hormone. It's like the king of all hormones. One of them. I love talking about insulin, and I love talking about leptin, because both of these hormones are super important to understand how your body metabolically can become more leaner and more strong with just kind of figuring out how to regulate your hormones. So let's dive in. So if you guys have questions and you're here, you want to talk to me, let me know you're here. And if this is landing with you, please let me know. If you need me to slow down or repeat something, please pop in here, but we're going to get started. So first I want to start with explaining what leptin is. So leptin is the satiation hormone. So leptin triggers your brain to tell you when you're full or when you're not full. Okay? When you have enough energy in your body or when you don't have enough energy in your body. So if that helps you understand what it does, it's a really awesome hormone. Okay? And if we can make it work correctly for us, it can really help us get the results that we want. So let's break this down further. So everyone's body has this set point, this homeostasis point of where it's happy. You know, everyone's body has those different places, and our body naturally just tries to keep us there, right? So when you're really lean or when your body's really low in body weight, your body says, hey, shut down, all systems stop. We need to reserve energy because we're going to starve to death, right? Or if your body says, oh, wait, we've got enough food on hand, we've got enough energy in our bloodstream, we're getting that signal to our brain, everything's good, we're going to up our metabolism, and we're going to up all systems, right? All systems are go, right? So we're burning energy, burning fat, metabolism's high. Awesome. Okay, so that's the homeostasis point. Now, what's interesting about this is that leptin is the hormone, and it's actually made in fat cells, adipose tissue. And it's one of the only ones. So we make this hormone leptin in our fat cells. It's produced there, okay? So what that means is that the more fat on our body we have, the more leptin we produce, which in theory seems pretty good, because if you think about it, like, oh, if I'm producing a ton of, leptin, then I'm going to be burning fat and my metabolism is going to be high all the time. Now, let's just reverse a little bit. So what happens is it becomes white noise. So when your body is covered in adipose tissue, or you have an excess amount of fat cells, triglycerides, things that are stored in your body as fat, what happens then is your body goes, whoa, you're inundating me with this hormone. It's like, I don't know what to do with it. Your body's it's like white noise. And all of a sudden, the system and the triggers and the receptors don't have enough, they can't basically get through to the hypothalamus in the brain anymore. And the brain goes, whoa, what's happening? Where's all the leptin? So basically your brain is covered in white noise, and it can no longer hear that signal. The signal is no longer able to get through. So your body thinks you're starving. And your body stops listening, and your body thinks you're going to die and wants you to eat. So what happens? You eat, and you eat more, and you eat more, and you keep eating more. Okay, and what happens after that is you keep gaining more adipose tissue, and the cycle just continues, because you have to remember, if your body can't hear that hormone, if it can't receive into the hypothalamus, your body's going to say, I'm starving, I'm in famine, I need to shut down my metabolism, I need to, I'm done, I can't do anymore. So that cycle just keeps going, right? So that's what's happening when you're storing a lot of adipose tissue, you're storing a lot of body fat, you're storing a lot of triglycerides, is that your actual receptor sites to the hypothalamus cannot be heard anymore. Your brain doesn't hear the signal to stop eating. It doesn't hear that signal. And what it basically tells you is you need to eat more. And that's why you find yourself like circling in the kitchen, like in the pantry or in the refrigerator, and you're just like not knowing what to do, but you want to eat. But you really know logically that you don't need to eat, but that's what happens. And that's why the obesity epidemic in our country is so out of control. Okay, so that is the leptin cycle. Now, I want to go back to this for another reason too, and I'll talk to you about how to change that in a second. But I want to reverse engineer this just a little bit with you guys, because this is also a reason why you have plateaus in your fitness. So years ago when I competed, I'm just going to give you a little example. The old way of thinking was you reduce your calories, you exercise more, you eat less. Well, when you do that, you're taking your body out of that homeostasis point. So your body all of a sudden goes, oh my gosh, I eat. Like I got to shut everything down because she's starving herself. And I've got to shut my metabolism down. And then what happens is your body slowly starts to deregulate. And so your body shuts down in order to protect you because it thinks you're going to starve. Okay, so it shuts down so that there's storage for famine. That's just what our bodies do. They know exactly what to do to protect us. Okay, so what happens is you start reaching these plateaus because as your body gets leaner, you start to reduce calories like everyone says, which I talked about yesterday in my live video, so go back and watch that. You reduce the amount of food you take, which actually just reverses what you're trying to do, and it actually will give you a plateau. So with my clients, I have a lot of techniques. Hi guys, thanks for jumping on. I have a lot of techniques I use with my clients in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, so that you can reintroduce those foods into your body so that your body goes, oh, I'm safe. And then what happens when your body gets more food is your body says, oh, I'm safe now. I can start to burn more calories, burn more fat, up my metabolism because I'm safe. And that's how you break through plateaus. And we can get into that in details too if you guys want to. But let's reverse just a little bit. So let's go back to how to increase that reception to your brain. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to lose weight and you feel like you just can't, like you're always hungry, that leptin is now resistant, it's white noise, your brain's not hearing it, and your brain's telling you, even though you're overweight and you have adipose tissue on your body, you still need to eat and you're hungry. So the way to challenge and to change that resistance is to make your body more sensitive to leptin. So some of the ways that you can do that are pretty easy, actually, and we're going to talk about them right now. So I'm going to give you some tools to do that. So one of the best ways is to decrease inflammation in your body. So inflammation actually clouds your hypothalamus's ability to have that receptor for those hormones. So the more inflammation in your body, the less your brain can actually understand those signals. Okay, so what you want to do is eat a very low inflammation diet. So if you're not familiar with an anti-inflammatory diet, ask me questions. I can definitely get back to you on that information, but you really want to keep the inflammation low in your body. And one way to do that is to remove all of the processed food out of your diet, including processed meat. It's also to remove any kind of MSG out of your diet. Now, that's really hard in our culture, you guys, because MSG is basically in about 90% of any restaurant food you're going to go to. And the purpose of MSG is it makes your food taste better, and it actually triggers you to be hungrier. It makes you eat more. And that's why when you're at a restaurant, it's kind of that seafood diet. They put it in front of you, and even though logically you don't need to eat that much food, you just keep going because you constantly feel like you're hungry. It's MSG. It's a little trick the restaurant industry plays on us. So keep that in mind. So make sure you're taking that down. So your MSG needs to come down. You need to remove it from your diet. Also kind of like corn oil and just some really nasty corn oil, soy oils, just some things can be removed from your diet. Trans fatty acids, all those things can be removed. Like a lot of people have those in their cupboard right now and they don't know it. So just make sure that you're not eating a lot of processed stuff. Okay, the other thing that's really interesting is that a really good way to increase that reception and to increase your sensitivity to leptin is to sleep. You've got to sleep for at least 7 to 9 hours per night. Some people need even more than that. Sleep is a huge way to increase that in your body, that sensitivity to leptin. In fact, it's been shown that it does as soon as you wake up from a good night's sleep, you're more sensitive than you were if you had a bad night. The other way to have less inflammation in your body is to get up and do some high intensity activity, some workouts on an empty stomach, because that really does trigger an anti-inflammatory response in your system. Another way too is really to try to think about spending more time between meals, spacing out your meals so that you're not snacking all day, because when you're snacking all day, you really can't give your body an opportunity to have a liver snack, or what I like to call a glucose snack, because your body can actually secrete some energy to your body as fat from that glucose store so that you can burn that off instead of food that you're eating. So you also want to make sure you're spending more time between meals. That's why sometimes fasting for some people is a good way to jumpstart that sensitivity to leptin again. Okay. It also is a good thing for insulin. It's another hormone that I've talked about before. And if you haven't listened to that hormone video, it's in my YouTube, and you definitely want to check that out. Hi, Sal. So sometimes it's not about what our culture tells us. So one more thing I want to share with you guys is that you really need to increase the protein you're eating first thing in the morning. It's a really good way to help you increase the time between meals. So if you eat a protein-rich breakfast, you can go a lot longer without having to eat again and not feeling snacky, because that snacky is just going to keep that cycle going. So what you want to do is have a good breakfast that, the first meal of your day is, either whatever it is at 9, 10, whenever you eat your breakfast, to have a really heavy protein rich meal that will help you still stay satiated and burn more. Actually, it helps increase your metabolic rate. There's been studies showing up to like 20% if you have a high protein rich breakfast. Okay, so there's some information, just some tips on that. I hope that helped you guys. But the other thing that I want you to understand is that if you're currently a woman, and I want to talk to you about this because a lot of women come to me where they just can't lose that last 10 pounds. Well, there's a reason for that, you guys. Your body is in a state where it always wants to bring you to that homeostasis. And we as women, our bodies want us to be safe. So we like to hold on to that. We really like to hold on to that. And the way to kind of break through some of those plateaus is not to starve yourself. Like I just showed you the hormonal science on what happens when you starve yourself, and you actually do the opposite of what you're trying to do, is to really understand the hormone leptin, and to understand that, if you're going through a phase where you're trying to keep your calories low, it's going to really negatively affect your metabolism, especially if you're over 40 or you're getting close to 40 like I am. And I spent years, as I've told you guys before, on stage starving myself, because that was the way. I mean, leptin wasn't even discovered really, I think, until 1996. And how the role it played in the metabolic processes. So the old way of that bodybuilding fitness was kind of just transferred into, the way that our society thinks that we should lose weight. And that's really very unhealthy, and it can lead to lots of metabolic damage. So if you are in that situation, let me know, reach out to me and I can help you. I'd be happy to. And if you have any other questions on leptin or insulin, again, my insulin video is really informative and it's in my YouTube channel. I'll put that link here for you guys as well. But I see a bunch of you here. So hi guys, I'm glad you're here. If you have questions, let me know. I don't see any questions yet. But that's kind of basically the overall feeling I wanted you guys to get from leptin, is that if once you understand it, it's really an easy way for you to mitigate your results and to break through some plateaus. It's also a great way to stay healthy. So remember, you want to make sure that you're doing that high intensity activity, and even if you can't do it first thing in the morning, that's not how your schedule works. Try to do your exercise when you're on an empty stomach, at least 3 to 3.5 hours after you've eaten anything. So there's this old kind of thing where people would, eat a banana and then go for a marathon run. I used to do it. I've told you guys about it. And it's so far from what we actually need in order to, I was an overweight runner for years. I was a marathon runner, and I was overweight because I played into that, because I was exercising my muscles but not exercising my liver. And that's why people can get fatty liver when they're marathon runners. It's an interesting situation. So reduce the overall amount of carbohydrates that you're eating. Try to keep your carbohydrates, when you are eating them, and keeping them in moderation. Don't overdo them. That will, cause a slew of hormonal imbalances also. And when you are trying to increase and, trying to increase your metabolism, sometimes carbohydrates are necessary. And that carbohydrate stimulation actually stimulates that receptor site for leptin and can actually increase your metabolism. So I understand that people are doing all these ketogenic diets, and that's great. It works. I think that whatever works for you is great. But at the same time, you've got to be careful with your hormones, because when you're on that deprivation state for so long, your body just starts to get white noise to the receptor sites just don't work, and it's white noise. And sometimes it needs a little oomph. It needs a little bit of, maybe a sweet potato. Maybe, it needs a sweet potato and some lean protein with it to just really up that leptin sensitivity. So does that make sense to you guys? Am I landing with you guys? Thanks, Tori. Yeah, anti-inflammatory high protein breakfast is great. Yeah, that's a great comment. And if you want to know what that looks like, it's really, you really want to have some good eggs are a great source of protein. They've got tons of vitamins and nutrients that we need, the B vitamins, and the fat in them is great, and good farm fresh eggs are a great way to start your day. Just don't have a piece of buttery toast, a white bread with it. You've got to kind of mitigate that. Avocados are a great way to increase leptin sensitivity. Avocados is key to hormone balance. So are coconuts, coconut oil, coconut butter, all great things to increase that that leptin sensitivity. So hopefully that helps you guys. Those are some things I incorporate into my day almost every day. And it was really important when I was trying to heal my hormones coming back from my years of competing. So avocados are great, and so are coconut oil products. Okay, that was a lot of information. Hi, Christy. So I'm glad you guys are finding it helpful. And if you have questions on hormones, I do a lot of research for myself because I've had to heal my own body. But again, I want to make sure that everyone knows here, I am not a doctor. So I just need to put that out there. I didn't do it in the beginning, but that's my disclosure here. I'm not a doctor. I do not have any way to give you medical advice. I have no training in that industry whatsoever, nor will I ever claim to. So if you have information, if I have information, I will give it to you from that knowledge base, but not from a medical standpoint. So please talk to your doctor about all of that stuff. There's my disclaimer. But if you have questions about, body composition and how to change your body healthy and get leaner the healthy way and not that old way of thinking, reach out to me. I'm here for you. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and happy Fitness Friday. Bye. I'm going to try to get off both of these. It's so crazy, this Instagram.